Perfect. I was waiting to see the notification. Great. Good morning and welcome back. My name is Arlene Coker and I'm a project engineer with QRSE. This is the third training in our project closeout series, and today's topic is as-built plans. And as usual, if you've been here for the other two, you know we're going to start with a pre-test to see how familiar you are with the existing process. I'll show the questions on the screen, and then the poll should pop up on your screen for you to answer, or you can answer the poll when it shows up in the chat pod. So we'll start with the first question. Who prepares the field posted as-built plans? Is it the inspector, the construction project manager, the consultant, or the contractor? Who prepares the field posted as-built plans? You can go ahead and launch the poll, Tiffany. It looks like the responses are slowing down a little bit. Oh, no, good. That's good. There's about 23 people. We've got 10 responses. I know some of you probably aren't going to answer. I understand that too. Okay, it looks like the responses have slowed down. Tiffany, you can go ahead and close that poll. Oh, there we go. One more snuck in. Okay, so the contractor prepares the field posted as-built plans. Okay, next question. Well, actually, this is a statement, and you got to tell me whether it's true or false. There is no standard on how to post markups for as-built plans. Is that true or false? You can go ahead and launch the poll, Tiffany. So there's no
mostly only Kaika.
So there is no standard on how to post markups for as-built plans. Is that true or false? Excellent. You guys are very fast this morning. So most of you got this right. That's false. There's definitely a standard for how to mark up your as-builts, and we will talk about those standards a little later. Okay, next question. Who verifies the field posted as-built plans before they get submitted to HWY-DD? The inspector, the construction project manager, the consultant, or the contractor? You want to launch that poll, Tiffany? Thank you. Who verifies the field posted as-built plans? Very good. Everybody got this one right. I love that. It's the construction project manager. That's who needs to verify the field posted plans before they go to HWY-DD. Very good. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Now, how many days? I always have one of these in here, right, to help you understand the critical timing of things, right? How many days before the end of the period of performance should the as-built plans be approved or completed? 90, 120, 205, or 365 days before the end of the performance period? How many days should the as-built plans be completed or approved? You can go ahead and launch this poll, Tiffany. Thank you. I think the responses have slowed down, Tiffany. You can go ahead and close that. So you can see the responses were a little more varied across this question, which makes complete sense. But the answer is 120 days. You want to make sure that the as-built plans are completed at least 120 days before the period of performance ends. And we'll talk about why that is. That has to do with physicals process. And then this last question is just to get a read on what the current state of the process is for you guys. How are you checking the contractor as-built plans? So are you not checking them because it's the contractor's responsibility? Do you track them on your own set of paper plans, either full, half, or quarter size plans? Do you track them in sheets within ACC, or are you tracking them in Bluebeam or Adobe on an Adobe copy of the plans? How do you guys generally do this? Oh, thank you, Tiffany. Just want to know how this is working for you, what you guys generally do. Got a few different ways, which makes sense. I understand that completely. We can leave that one open for a little bit, Tiffany, in case people are answering as they go. Okay, so that was the last pre-question. How do you like that? So I always like to start with the core values of accountability, safety, community, innovation, and teamwork because they guide what you do in your work every day. And so just as in all the other cases, the closeout process relates to accountability and teamwork core values. Accountability in this case is to FHWA, the state, the traveling public, or community where the project is constructed. The as-built plans document what was constructed in the field, especially if it's different from the originally designed project. That information is important for future maintenance and construction projects that happen in this same area. We want to know what was there, what was built originally. And then teamwork comes into play with the contractor, getting the as-built plans from them, the field markups, and with HWY-DD to get the as-built plans completed and have the office set of as-builts, right? The final set of as-builts that we're going to keep on file. And then teamwork with fiscal to close the project in the financial system. So that's how the core values play into the as-built closeout. So I know you're all familiar with this slide by now. So we're going to look at the timeline for as-built plans. The left side is substantial completion, and the right side, or the end of the timeline, is the period of performance end date. And just to refresh, federal projects have a period of performance. This is the time frame to spend federal funding on your project. Expenditures outside this time frame are considered ineligible. You want to make sure all the work is completed and the project is closed out by the end of the period of performance, so all of the costs can be considered for federal eligibility. The justification of construction performance period, also known as the JCPP, allows 25 days to prepare as-builts or 205 days from substantial completion to submission to Highway SM. If you don't have utility agreements or planting items, then the JCPP says this 25 days is zero, because the assumption is that the as-builts are already completed. You've been doing them along the way and you don't have to wait for the utilities or the plant establishment period. You can see the asterisk on the 25 days, and that's just to remind you that the process is evolving. So if you have any questions about how much time to allow, check with your supervisor. HWY-DD takes about 120 days to review, stamp, and return the as-built plans to the district. You have about 30 days to review and sign the title sheet and return it to HWY-DD. Then they have another 30 days to let Highway SM know that the as-builts are complete. Now, generally, the as-builts won't be on the critical path and won't require a period of performance extension. However, it's important to know that fiscal won't start their 120 days until they're notified by HWY-DD that the as-builts are completed. So you'll need to make sure that the as-builts have been submitted to Highway SM at least 120 days before the end of the period of performance. So that's where that 120 days comes. They won't start their process until they know that the as-builts are complete. Okay, so the contractor's field postings need to be verified before you send them to HWY-DD. You want to check for accuracy. You want to ensure that all the plan changes noted in the as-builts reflect your diary entries and that they are the same, that's accurate, that they're all both saying the same thing. And then you want to check for completeness. All addendums, field changes, change orders, value engineering change proposals, and changes due to site conditions, all those need to be noted in the as-builts. And then lastly, they need to be posted according to the standard. Postings should meet section 9.19 of the Project Development Manual, which describes how to post the field as-built drawings. We'll look at those standards next. So the field postings are produced by the contractor. They're provided either electronically or on paper. We're always hoping for electronically. And these are the standards for how they should post those as-built drawings. When changes are posted electronically, they should be on level 61. The color should be 29 magenta. The weight should be 4 and the font should be 2. The deletion of text and numbers should be done with a double line. Deleting drawing elements should be done with a squiggly line, and you should place an as-built legend on each sheet that has a change. Now, if you're using paper and you're manually posting, or they are manually posting the field posted as-builts, they should use red ink, and they don't have to have a legend on each page because the red ink becomes more obvious. If the original plans were produced by a consultant, you will provide the contractor's field postings, once they've been verified by you, for them to edit or create a digital copy that will then get transmitted to HWY-DD. Sometimes the consultant design contract doesn't have any funds left for the consultant to post the as-builts electronically, and then they may be posted on paper to send to HWY-DD. So that's one of the occurrences where sometimes we need to use paper because there's no time left on the consultant design contract. Now, going back to digital plans for a moment, many businesses use AutoCAD. HWY-DD just started using Autodesk after using MicroStation for several years. Consultants should match the HDOT fonts, levels, weight, and color. And HDOT has adopted Florida's standard fonts, which are the closest to what was used in MicroStation. And I put the link here on the slide in case you need it. I'm going to post it in the chat pod as well, just in case you may need it for a contractor or a consultant at some point in the future. Okay, so when you've verified the field posted as-built plans, you'll transmit an electronic copy or the marked up paper copy via this 4-part transmittal memo. You fill out the top and it goes to HWY-DD. And then if you know specifically who it should go to, you put their name in the attention box. Then you put your name, your district and your position in the from line. Then you put the title of the project, and then you put the project number, and then the project charge code. And then in description, you're going to say that these are the field posted as-built plans for this project. And then you mark the box that says, ask HWY-DD to take appropriate action on this set of as-built plans for you. After HWY-DD transfers the field posted markups, or they check what the consultant has posted, they'll send them back to the district for review and verification. And that's part 2 of the memo. So this is the part where HWY-DD sends it back to the district to review and ensure that everything got updated. And then if there are no changes, you sign the title sheet and return it to HWY-DD, and you sign here in part 3, because this sentence is already actually part of the memo, which is great. We've reviewed the as-built plans and are returning the original signed title sheet for your files. And then HWY-DD uses part 4 here to notify HWY-SM that the as-builts have been completed, and then they can begin closing the project with HWY-SF. As far as the physical part of this process goes, HWY-SM and HWY-SF wait until HWY-DD notifies them that the as-built plans are completed before they close the project and the charge code, because HWY-DD uses the charge code to do their markup, or the consultant uses it to do their markup. But when HWY-DD says the as-builts are completed, then they know there's not going to be any more charges to that charge code. And so then they can begin that process of doing the physical closeout. Okay, so once HWY-DD posts the changes to the original set of plans and you sign them and return the title sheet to them, you should also update the disposition log in PSS to show that the as-builts have been completed. And then when HWY-DD receives the signed title sheet, they'll send the transmittal letter to HWY-SM to let them know that the charge code, all the charges to the code have been made and the project is ready for fiscal closeout. And then their 120 days begin, just like we talked about. And then you can request HWY-SF to make the final payments to the contractor and the consultant if you have consultant design plans. And then the as-built plans closeout process is then complete. So lastly, I'm going to talk about just about a couple best practices here. The first best practice for as-builts is to update your own copy of the as-builts regularly. Section 648 of the standard specifications requires the contract to submit field posted drawings at the beginning of each month. You should be keeping a copy of the plan changes and update it each month. If you do your comparison and verification monthly, then you'll only have 1 month to update at substantial completion, and then you could submit your as-builts within the 125 days that are allowed. Another best practice is to use sheets in ACC to create a digital copy of your as-built drawings. And based on that question, it looks like about almost 50% of you, a little over 40%, are using sheets in ACC to do your digital as-builts. Using ACC and sheets streamlines your submittal to HWY-DD because you already have the electronic copy ready and you've got it marked up. And that also embraces the transition to digital plans. So that wraps up as-builts. Are there any questions? Any questions or concerns about?
Arlene, I got question.
Sure, Glenn.
Yeah, so it happens to me before, but like this regular paving job, most times they don't have any as-built or changes. So are we still required to pay the as-built?
So there aren't any changes? Is that what you're saying, Glenn?
Yeah, like I don't know how many times it happened to me. I think maybe at least 3 times, I would
Wow,
say.
that's excellent.
Yeah, because like it's only striping. I mean, like just a paving. So most of the
Oh,
time,
okay.
like if they just change the location of like the reconstructed areas, that's we can do that right ourselves. Not necessarily. So sometimes I kind of wish for them to pay like a 5 grand for not doing anything.
Well, so I think what you need to do though is at least fill out, you need to probably send the transmittal to HWY-DD and let that part one and let them know in that description and say there were no changes to the original set of plans. So the as-bills can be closed out so that
Yeah,
they
I
that
understand that, but my question is between us and the contractor.
oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Well, I guess um as long as you have documented between the two of you, okay, so remember, I'm a former Fed, so that's what I would recommend is that you document. If you document between you and the contractor, you have on, whatever day in your diary, we agreed that there are no um, changes to the original plans, then yeah, then they don't have to, as long as you've got that agreement and you've got it documented, yes, I guess they kind of get off the hook for not having to do as-built in that case, but it's important to, document between the two of you that you've agreed that there are no changes that have to be documented on as-built, that everything went as that it was indicated on the plans. Does that make sense, Glenn?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, if there's any other comment from other engineers, maybe I would like to know because, uh, like what I said, like sometimes they bid for like 5 grand, all this kind of stuff. Sometimes even higher, but most times it's always for us to pay them for not just giving us the plan. They sign it, but there's no specific thing. So just a little change.
Okay. Okay. Good
Yeah,
question.
thank you.
Good question. And are there any other questions? Kaha'a is agreeing with me in the chat there. That documentation is important, and it's important to the contract too, right? To make sure that the contract has been executed completely. That all items in the contract are done. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I have questions for you. So we'll roll right on through these. Okay. So who's responsible for transferring the field posted as-built data to the original contract plans for the office as-builts? The contractor, the construction project manager, HWY-DD, or the inspector? If you would launch this poll, Tiffany, thank you. Who transfers the as-built data to the original contract plans? I didn't update the poll question. It should say, who's transferring the field posted as-built data to the original contract plans? That might help a little. Very good. Thank you for closing the poll, Tiffany. So HWY-DD does that. And the other person who might do it is a consultant, but I didn't put that answer in there because I didn't want to confuse you. So the consultant will also do this if it's consultant design plans. But in general, HWY-DD makes sure that the as-built data gets transferred to the original plan set so that that is the record for the as-built plans. Okay. The disposition log is updated when the field posted as-built have been sent to HWY-DD. Now read this question very carefully here. The disposition log is updated when the field posted as-built have been sent to HWY-DD. Is that true or false? You want to launch that one? When do you update the disposition log? Is it when the field posted as-built go to HWY-DD? Okay, looks like the responses have slowed down. So this is false. You don't update the disposition log until after you've gotten the field posted back from HWY-DD and you've signed the title sheet and send it back to them. This is just the first step of the process. So you won't update PSS yet. You won't update the disposition log. All right. How many days before the end of the performance period should the as-built plans be approved? When do those as-built plans need to be done before the end of the performance period? How many days? 90, 120, 205, or 365? It looks like the responses have slowed down on that one, Tiffany. So the answer is 120 days, and that's because you want to make sure that fiscal has 120 days to do their part of the closeout before the end of the performance period so that all of your expenditures can be considered for federal funding. Which of the following are best practices for as-built plans? Now, on this question, you can choose more than one answer. Is it markup paper plans for as-built? Use sheets and ACC for as-built? Rely on the contractor to produce accurate field posted as-built? Or keep my own set of as-built updated each month? You want to launch that poll. We talked about some best practices. And you can choose more than one answer on this question. So the answers I'm looking for here are use sheets in ACC for your as-built and keep your own set of as-built updated each month. So Rose was kind enough to, I may have her explain this, but she said in the chat pod here, if there are no as-built, HWY-DD has a stamp or it can be added. No significant changes were made during construction on these plans except changes in the original theoretical quantities. For actual quantities, refer to the project ledger and/or computation book, and then the resident engineer signs and dates. So the verbiage on as-built has changes made during construction have been incorporated. So when you do changes, it's yeah. So there's a stamp that you can use, Glenn, on the plans to make a record that there have been no substantial changes, right? Other than the quantities. I don't know if that helps in that question or not. And then lastly, just a little bit of feedback. Let me know what you think of the training. Was the content useful? Was it not at all useful? Was it somewhat, never mind. Not at all useful, somewhat useful, adequate, useful, or very useful? If you would launch the feedback poll, that would be great. And after you give me some feedback, then that's all I have today, unless anybody else has anything they want to add. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention and attending the series. I really enjoyed it. So thank you. And Josh, you can go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you. I appreciate that applause. And then you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it.